You're watching the 2023 SCAC Men's Soccer Media Days, and today we're taking a look at the Colorado College Tigers. We're joined by the head coach of the CC Tigers, Scott Palguta, along with senior captain Spud Ward. And Coach Spud, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having us, Russell.
Thanks. Coach, we'll get started with you. Heading into your ninth season as the head coach there of this Tigers program, 8 previous seasons, all winning marks. 6 of those, you've had 11 plus wins in those seasons. What is exciting about this time of the year for you, though, Coach? And what about this group, gets you fired up heading into the challenges of a new year?
Well, this is always an exciting time of year, right? I mean, we're perfect. We'll try to keep it that way as long as we can. But no, with each year, one of the nice things I think in college athletics is that, the team will always look different, regardless of how many seniors you might graduate. As guys get older and mature, when the leadership changes, when you integrate new players into the team, it's always going to take on a new feel and look. So I'm obviously excited to get to this process of working with our captains, one of them sitting right next to me here, to build that team, because I think there's a lot of potential there. So I think, as we look at the makeup of our team, I think on paper we could appear a little bit inexperienced, because when you consider the fact that the 6 seniors who graduated and left us in the spring were all a big part of the program. 5 of them played considerably all 4 years, and now we only have 2 seniors on the roster this fall. But I think those 2 seniors are going to play a big role. Ronan has been a guy, Ronan McCann, right, a player who's been an off and on starter, but big contributor, is a very good player for all 3 years. And then Nick Nilsson is a guy who hasn't had quite as many games, but he had a terrific spring, and I know he's chomping at the bit to make an impression and help lead this group. So, consider, small but mighty, hopefully, our senior class, and then a junior class that's very rich in experience. Then you to consider the big numbers in our underclassmen, and there's a lot of talent there. I think a lot of potential, and I'm excited to get going and see where that group might take us.
Bud, coming into this your senior year, coming off an outstanding junior season, you had career highs in both goals and points, 9 goals, 21 points on this season. How much confidence do you gain coming off of a campaign like that last year? And what does your summer look like this off season as you've continued to grow and get better as a player heading into this senior season?
I mean, yeah, of course, last year it was great to be able to lead the team in goals and have that impact with the group. But of course, there's always something to build on, and I hope to build on that past season moving forward. I think personally, over the summer, I got a little bit sharper, and I was really focusing on my fitness so that when we go down to Texas for long weekends, I can play 75, 80, hopefully 90 minutes.
Coach, you talked a little bit about this group and the roster that makes up this team heading into this season. It is a nice mix of returners and some of these newcomers. I think 9 student athletes that started 9 or more games for this team last year, including 5 returning all-conference players. And then you mix that with, I think, 11 newcomers, first years that'll be a part of this program this year that'll have a lot to learn outside of just the soccer, but of course getting used to college in that first year away from home. What are the challenges when you sort of make that blend of returners and newcomers, and with the returning core that you have, how does that help those challenges maybe for some of those first year players?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest challenges that I've found in recent years, and this is partly down to maybe our recruiting efforts, is the versatility in our roster gives us headaches in a good way, right? We have a lot of guys who can play a lot of different positions. So, as we try to build a deeper squad, right? That squad that's 20 plus deep, that could play difficult games back to back, towards the end of the season when it matters most. I think it's going to be very competitive, and we're going to have to utilize the preseason to really think about, like, okay, where are our guys' best spot, right? And so you get an idea, especially with the recruited athletes coming in as first years, of how they might help you. But until they're here and you can actually integrate them and try different things out, you just don't know. So kind of building that group as individuals, but then also the functional relationships that are so important on the field, looking for pairings with, across the back line and wide areas centrally, guys that can kind of feed off each other and play well together. So I'm really looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a very competitive preseason for us, but certainly that's a challenge. But I do think, to your point, having a core group of returnees who do have some experience, right? Like, again, we might look inexperienced, but I actually think we're pretty balanced, or we will be in the end. And so we'll lean on guys like Spud through the middle of the field, and our other captain, Curtis Hale, on the back line to help us through that process and guide the young guys. But for me, that's challenge number one, just trying to build these relationships on the field and figure out how guys are going to help us and what spots they'll be in.
Spud, you've made an immediate impact, from a soccer standpoint since you arrived there on campus in the Springs, starting 43 of the 47 games you've played, a two-time all-conference player. And, I would imagine that you've seen your role change over the course of your career, but, what is your mindset this season, being one of the captains coming in this year, being asked maybe from Coach Palguta, not only for obviously between the lines, but for the stuff that's so important, outside of the field as well. How have you seen that role change, and what's your mindset coming into this season?
Yeah, of course, my role has changed both on the field, changing from left back to winger to more centrally now, and off the field. And I think as a captain now, Curtis and I are both really, really excited to help mold the team culture and integrate all the new guys that we have. And I think creating that leadership and that tight team culture is going to be really important this year.
Coach, wrapping things up with you, preseason, one of the unique times in the year when you're with your group and you really have a chance to kind of maybe build some of that foundation with this new looking version of the 2023 Tigers. What's the message to this team? What do you hope to accomplish through this course of preseason that will help sort of set this team up to have a successful season and bring kind of the ability to accomplish some of the goals this group will have set?
I think it's important to drive home the point that it's a blank canvas, or it's an unwritten script, to put it another way. That, any successes we had, any failures we had a year ago, previous years, Spud's been in the program for 3 full seasons, doesn't really matter, right? That we have a new group and this team will take on its own identity, and we have an opportunity, even more so the players, right, than the coaches, to write the script however you want it to be. So, and obviously the preseason is a great time to lay the foundation to shape this thing in the image that we want it to be. And it is in our hands to a degree. And I know, this guy's sitting next to me, and some of the upperclassmen and our experienced players are going to grab that opportunity and hopefully mold this thing into a picture that we really like and a script that we'd be really pleased to read. So I know we're just all excited to get going here in a few days.
And finally, Spud, wrapping things up, this season is successful if what plays out on the field. What are some of the goals that you hope to kind of set for this team, and what will be key and helping this group, getting past the finish line with those goals this year?
Yeah, I think that for every year, this program is going to want to compete at the top of both our conference and NCAA D3 athletics. And I think that our goals going into most years are to win SCAC and make the NCAA tournament. And those are 2 things that I haven't done in my time here. And I think that that's really fueled the determination and drive of a lot of the guys here. And we're really chomping at the bit to get going and get the season underway.
Colorado College head men's soccer coach Scott Palguta, along with senior captain Spud Ward, as the Tigers head into the 2023 season. They'll open up their campaign on September 1st when they host Pacific Lutheran. Coach Spud, thanks so much for your time today, and best of luck as you head into the season.
Thanks, Russell.
Thanks, Russell.